What's good, people? It's Sarah coming back at you with another video.
What are you doing? What's good, people? It's Jagilsdorf coming back at you with another last video. I did talk about how you don't really need all this fancy gear to make a good video. You just need to actually do it. Like, even if you don't have a good story and you don't have good gear, just make any type of video. It doesn't really matter. It's consistency that'll help you. And a lot of it is also like, how much resistance to start do you have? So the more like, oh, it has to have this, and how many things do we have to set up before you can start filming? The more to-do items you have to do, the less likely you are to actually get it done. And if you only have a set time in your schedule when you're going to be able to get it done anyway, now you're really shrinking the likelihood of you actually being able to put out a video that's at least good quality to an extent, like maybe better than the last video, maybe just slightly go on like a positive slope. That's all you really need, right? Well, in the last one, I was using the kit lens and the Rode Video Mic Pro microphone, and I didn't even use the Shure SM7B or my computer, and I didn't have like any lights or any type of setup or whatever. It was just thrown together and I did it, and it was great, and I liked that video. I was just watching it, and it is what it is though, because I have this lens and I have this microphone. I'm not gonna just not use it. So I decided to like set myself up in a situation where I can still have a good vlogging setup and a good tutorial setup, but I can still have a bedroom, because that was always my problem. Where does it cross over? Either you have a good vlogging setup, a good video setup, and your bedroom is just destroyed and it's not very functional as a bedroom, or you have a very functional bedroom and it doesn't really look that good on camera. So there's a line. You have to define it for yourself, and it's still hard for me to define it. Where do you draw the line? Is it going to be good enough, or can it be better? And it's hard to define that for yourself, especially in the moment, because again, like I said in the beginning, the more things you have on your to-do list, the less likely you are to make a video, and it adds more resistance. As I mentioned in the last video as well, it's not just about me changing my room style and everything, it's also about the new gear. And one of the things I did get was the iPhone 13. I didn't get like any of the Pros or the Minis or the Maxes or anything like that, just regular old iPhone 13. I did opt for the 256 gig option because I like to have offline music, and I like to, even though I store my photos in the cloud, I like to still be able to view them on my phone whenever I want. Plus, having all my music stored on my phone through Spotify downloads, I'm not worrying about streaming. So if I don't have cellular connection, or I don't want to drain my battery, all my music is ready to go for the most part. Not all of it, but a decent amount of my music is ready to go on the phone at any given time. And I do like it. From upgrading from the 10, this was a pretty big jump for me. I do miss the telephoto lens, but having the wide angle makes me really, really concerned about where vlogging is going to be. Are people going to start vlogging a lot more on their phones? I initially was vlogging on my phone, but honestly the biggest complaint was the workflow. But now that I have a better computer and it's just a better phone in general, I don't know that the workflow is going to be that much of an issue. I mean, we could try it, but I think mic quality will be the next thing that I'm going to check out to see, can you vlog with just your phone? And I think it's definitely possible, but to what extent is it nice? Because I think it was 13 millimeter when you zoom out all the way. That's what the phone at least says it is that it's a 13 millimeter. So, but it will be interesting to see if Apple separates their iPhone 13 and their iPhone 13 Pro lineups, and maybe the Pros start to have more interesting Pro features, like an SD card slot or an aux port or USB-C. Kind of like what they're doing with the M1 Max now, is they're adding these features that they should have had to begin with, like an SD card slot or an HDMI port on the Max. And if they did that, I think that would qualify as being a device that they could sell under the EU standards, which would be interesting. I was literally just thinking about that. Like, I just thought of that as an idea. They could just make iPhone 13 or iPhone 14 Pro as a USB-C device, and then the regular iPhone 14 is Lightning. Now they get to keep their Lightning, and then they get to sell USB-C devices in Europe. So it's a win-win for Apple. It would be really annoying for everyone else, but that would be a win-win for Apple. But at least from my perspective, we'd get USB-C on the iPhone, which is something that I'm really excited for, and I really hope actually happens. I'd probably immediately trade in whatever phone I have just for the USB-C for iPhone. Now, in the last vlog, I did mention a project I've been working on for a while that I didn't really talk too much about, but it is finally done and it is finally here. I wrote a book. So, Rich Kid, Broke Parents is a book that I wrote where it just contains a lot of information that I really just wish I knew 10 years ago or so. It's advice that I was given to by my parents, by my grandparents, and even advice that I give to myself, but I neglect to take. This book really is just a guide of things that I wish I knew. And the title, it's really just supposed to cause discord, which was very successful. A lot of people, it's been a rather controversial title so far. Even my professor at school was making a comment. He saw the title, and he was just like, what does that even mean? Like, I wouldn't want my kids to read that, thinking that the title is saying you're going to steal the money from the parents, that the kid is rich because the parents are broke. And to an extent, that is actually, part of what's in the book, is that there are a lot of parents out there who spend so much money on their kids that the kids have this rich persona and this rich perspective on life, and the parents are in debt, and the kid never learned financial education, so now the kid is actually broke the second they move out, and it's not helpful for them. But it is interesting to see how everyone's been reacting to the title differently. So I would say everyone who reads this in one way or another is both the parent and the kid in the title. At one point, you are the person who's giving advice or trying to give advice and trying to help other people, and you're the old person who doesn't have any money, and you're broke both in monetary aspects of life and other aspects of life. Like you don't have a fulfilled lifestyle or an enriched lifestyle. Or you're the kid in the sense that you do most of the advice in this book, and you take it even further and you build upon the things that I talk about, and then you're just this ruler of the whole world. Like this book contains a lot of information that would really put a lot of people far ahead. I would say my target audience would be like middle schoolers and high schoolers, because it gives you enough time to start practicing these things before you are in college. But I would honestly say that anyone could read this book and take a single piece of value. There's something in here that you didn't know. But at the same time, I even mention constantly in the book that if you agree with everything in the book, all you've done was to think more like me, and that wasn't the goal. The goal of this book was to get people to think differently. So I really hope that you read this and you cross things out, tear out pages, argue with it, set it on fire. I want people to think of this as very one-sided and just one person's perspective. But this was fun to write. It took 182 days. It was 180 days of writing with no prerequisites. I didn't take some of my notes from years before. I went blank canvas, full in, 182 days of 180 days of typing, and then I took about 2 days of finalizing the format. And, I'll make another video at some point. I'll put the link in the description, or I'll put a card up there talking about, how to write a book or how to do KDP, Kindle Print on Demand. And you can check that out. But I mean, in the long run of things, it was just fun. It was just cool to say that I did it, And I like to do that in a lot of aspects of my life. Like, I'm a musician on Spotify, not just on SoundCloud, but on Spotify, I want to be a professional YouTuber, not just a couple thousand subscribers, I want to have 100,000 subscribers, or maybe even one day we'll hit the 1 million subscribers. That would be such a cool day. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and share with a friend. I'd appreciate it. But yeah, that would be cool. I mean, that's kind of why people go to college, right? Is they get the degree so that they can say like, hey, I'm certified in this field, in this, aspect of life, and someone else isn't. So when you apply for a job, they can compare you and say, oh, you did something that not everybody can do. Not everybody can graduate college. Not everybody can write a book. Not everybody can get on Spotify. So different aspects of my life have led me to that point where now I can say like, yeah, I wrote a book, and that's just cool to me. There are a lot of typos. I gotta say off the bat, I've been going back, there are so many typos, it's really bad, because no one proofread it. Like the only proofread that was there was I did text to speech on my computer. I let it read the text back to me, and I would just listen and edit as I go. So there's still a lot of typos in there, but there are 69,420 words exactly. From the preface to the last page, there are 69,420 words, and that was very much so intentional because I didn't want it to be 70,000 words, of course. I wanted it to be less than 70,000 words. I don't know why else I would do it that way. I don't know what you were thinking, but it was fun. It was fun. And at one point, I'll probably release a second edition. Maybe I'll release a new edition every year or every other year or something like that. Just where I update things, I'll remove certain things or I'll add new things and stuff like that. Mainly just fixing all the typos, but I'll probably maintain that requirement of 69,420 just to see if I can, just to see like if we put that limitation, it'll make the product a lot better rather than just kind of letting anything go. It might just become a mess and be too big. Also, the book is designed to be finished in 30 days, reading only 15 minutes each day. So it's a very short book, and I've divided the chapters into like miniature chapters, which I call sections. So there's 11 chapters, and then across those 11 chapters, I think there's 147 different sections. And each one of those sections, they're like a mini essay. It's like 4 or 5 paragraphs about a general topic. And you could technically read the book in any order. You could just open it up to a certain page and be like, oh, that sounds interesting. We'll check that out. And I'm going to put a lot more content on YouTube specifically about the contents in the book, because I know some people, they don't read as their primary form of education. They watch YouTube videos. I'm very much so like that, where the primary form of education are going to be videos or podcasts like Khan Academy. I'm not necessarily a predominant reader. I'm getting better at it. In some cases, audiobooks are even better because like I can't read and drive. Like I'm not Julian Smith. I can't just read a book while I'm driving. It's just something that I was thinking about, that I'll put some of the content on YouTube as well. But it's designed so that you can read any section at any point, and each section will only take you like 2 minutes. Because, for example, right now we are reading at a 3rd grade pace. So if you read at the pace of 150 words per minute, it would take you about 7.7 hours to finish the book entirely. Even if you read at that 150 words per minute pace, you'd finish the book in 30 days, reading only 15 minutes per day. So if you read even slightly faster than that, you could finish this book in a month. And that was the point behind keeping it very sectioned off, to kind of have this ADHD style, very low commitment. Because sometimes I've read books where the chapters are like hundreds of pages, and it's crazy. Like maybe it doesn't even have chapters, and there's no sections. Oh man, it's so hard to read those books sometimes because the commitment level is so much higher. I literally started this video out talking about how the more resistance you have to get started, the less likely you will do it. So if you're sitting there trying to read a book saying, oh, well, the chapters are 45 pages each, and I don't really want to stop in the middle of a chapter. So you have to read 45 pages if you're going to read it at all. And then you don't end up reading anything because you're like, well, I don't have enough time to read 45 pages right now. I only have 10 minutes. And maybe you can't read 45 pages in 10 minutes, which is fine. I don't think I could either. It's like 4, almost 5 pages a minute. And that'd be pretty fast if you could. You only have 10 minutes, so you're not going to read the 45 pages, and now you've just put yourself at a point where you're never going to read anything. You could go and read that book 1 page at a time. And it would still make sense, like maybe 2 pages at a time, because the sections are very short, like I said. But I hope you guys will check that out. I have it on Amazon. You can get the Kindle version. It's part of Kindle Unlimited, so if you know what that is, you can read it for free. I have the hardcover. I have the soft cover. It's all out there. I even did a large print version as well. So if you want a version where it's a 16-point font, which after I saw what that looks like, that is huge, by the way. I almost think I couldn't read a 16-point font book because there are very few words that fit on a single line. It was almost like hard to read. So, I mean, you know, do what you think is best. But I've put out enough versions. I really hope you guys check it out. Share with someone that you think might be interested. And I'm just curious about what you think. So make sure you check out the comment section below, and I even created like a subreddit where people can just talk about the book. Not that I think a lot of people will, but I just want a place where people can give feedback if they're interested in giving feedback. So definitely check that out if you have the opportunity to. Moving forward, this vlog was initially going to be entirely about a road trip that I took from Buffalo all the way down to Ruskin, Florida, which is like south of Tampa, just by like Apollo Beach. And then we went all the way back up to Ithaca and then came back over to Buffalo again. And that road trip was insane. Like, that was awesome. I went with Sarah and we had a blast. It was crazy. I was gonna vlog the whole time, and then I realized that I was having so much more fun not vlogging and trying to capture every moment, so I ended up not filming nearly as much as I thought. But the schedule we had was jam-packed. We really filled out every single day of that trip. So there wasn't really a lot of downtime to be able to vlog and still travel, and then vlog and still have fun. It just ended up being too clustered, so I just had fun with it. Now, I did make a video of my top 10 road trip reminders, just some things that I recommend you do before you go on a road trip, because that was intense, and there were some things that I wish I would have done beforehand, but at the same time, a lot of those things didn't really matter at the end of it, because you just have to be spontaneous. With a road trip like that, you got to be able to adapt as you go. Yeah, but it was fun. Like, our first day down, we went to Pittsburgh. You know, we got some Krispy Kreme donuts, of course. You have to, because in Buffalo, apparently, there's no Krispy Kremes anywhere. I'm not sure why. So I haven't had one in like 8 years or something crazy. So had to get some Krispy Kremes. Then we went down to Pittsburgh, and while she was driving, I was kind of just filming a little bit, and I realized I felt like that guy in every horror movie that's just like shakily holding the camera, talking about how they're going to the cabin for the weekend, and it's just really eerie and really creepy outside, and you just know something bad is gonna happen. And then, of course, bad things started to happen. We were gonna go to this one place that I found an article about that's not very well known, and it was on our way to Pittsburgh. But then right when we hit here on the map, the phone just started cutting out completely, like, and I had a range extender in the car. Like, literally right when we drove on that road, I had no signal whatsoever. And then we ended up turning around because it was a dirt road, and we were like, I don't know, this seems kind of sketch. Let's go check something else out. And we just turned around, we went somewhere else. And the second we got off that road and we turned back onto that road, yeah, the cell phone service came right back in, like it was perfect connection. So that was a little creepy. I do have to say, I would like to go back there because someone, I can't remember where I found the article, but someone recommended that there's a really cool trail over there and there's some interesting places that you can check out. We were tight on time, so we ended up finding this really cool lookout that you saw in the intro, which I thought was really awesome, and it was a really pretty area. By the time we got down to Pittsburgh, the hotel that we were gonna stay at actually closed because their heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system had stopped working, and it was like 90 degrees outside, so they had no AC, so they evacuated everybody and just refunded everybody. But now we're looking for a new hotel in an area that already was hard to get a hotel during a time when everyone else is looking for a hotel because an entire building just canceled all bookings for the day. So we were lucky to get a room, and it was at an increased rate because we bought day of. I had booked the other hotel like 2 weeks in advance, so it was almost double the price. It was crazy. But it was a very strange hotel. Like, there were like blue doors in the hallways and like this floral pattern, and then there was just a lot of bird cages. There were just a lot of bird cages all over the place. It was very strange. Very strange. Loved it. Highly recommend. I would go back. It was called the Kimpton. But it was just a very strange place. Let's see, then we met up with Sarah's friend Sammy, and we went to this awesome burger place called Stacked. Also recommend, you should check that place out. We stayed the night in Pittsburgh, and we woke up at about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning to my phone, her phone, both of like our watches and my Mac, all sirens like going off like it was an Amber Alert, and it was a flash flood warning telling us like, yeah, there was flash flood warnings in Pittsburgh for the rest of the day. So we were like, we should probably leave, because it was non-stop raining when we woke up. And we immediately left, and it was just driving in torrential rainfall. Like, you could not see 2 car lengths in front of you. So we were only going like 20 miles an hour in a 70. So definitely plan your trip accordingly. If you think you're going to be going 70 the whole way there, let me tell you, you're not. So we finally get to Virginia, and we go on this awesome hike. Highly recommend. Here's a picture of the map. You want to park right here. It doesn't really show up on the map, but that's where you park, and you go up the trail, and it's awesome. Download the All Trails app. You'll be able to find the trail I'm talking about. And I took this shot right here, and this is what it looked like while we were up there, and that was just amazing. It was like a mile and a half down, and then I think a mile and a half back, so it was like a 3-mile walk, but it's definitely not a walk, actually. I shouldn't even say walk. It was most certainly a hike. That was kind of scary too, because it was raining so much, so you have to be careful that you're not going to like slip and fall. And again, I didn't really want to vlog while I was doing that, because you kind of want to have your hands out, because you'll slip and you want to grab something, and we were slipping and sliding a couple times, and we had to grab back onto things because it was soaking wet because it was raining, but also no one was there, and it was still beautiful by the time we got to the peak there. So I highly recommend you checking that out if you're ever in West Virginia. But yeah, then we came back up a different route where we went through like Richmond, and then we ended up landing in Ithaca. And that was a little creepy because, again, I don't have any footage of this because it was genuinely terrifying. The fog at night when we were in New York, I think it was Highway New York Route 11, and that was genuinely insane. Like, it felt like I was in like a video game, and just like there was nothing else that was spawned around me. It was the road, and then the car like length immediately in front of me, and the headlights shining through the fog behind me, and that was it. There was nothing else. Like, you would see a mailbox come into your perception and then disappear. And you would see the car in front of you drive like 20 feet and it was gone. You couldn't see anything anymore. So that was intense. That was definitely like something you got to plan for stuff like that. Like, that was crazy. It was super cool. Like, I thought it was awesome, but it was also scary at the same time because, you know, I'm driving and I got precious cargo, and you got to be careful in that circumstance. And it was at night, and we were tired. We did like a 1,000-mile day that day. We had driven like, I think 800 miles by the time we hit that point. Like, that was like a huge driving day, and we ended up going through that at night, and that was something that I wish I would have prepared for. But then we ended up stopping in Ithaca, and we hung out there, and then the last day we just kind of slowly made our way back to Buffalo. And I think that most of the trip should have been like that, where we spent more time just lounging around and lingering and really not rushing anything that we were doing. But there were times where we had to rush because we just didn't plan for, you know, the rain or the fog or traffic conditions were way worse than what we planned, because if there was construction and then an accident, which did happen at one point, so it was construction, went down to one lane, and then an accident, so now people are like driving slightly on the shoulder to get around the accident. There's police cars and everything. You're going like 2 miles an hour for like an hour. That was crazy. So we lost a lot of time with problems like that. The road trip itself, I do have some numbers here. 48.1 miles per hour was our average speed for the entire trip. That was every single moment we were in the car, whether we were driving from the hotel just to get on the interstate or the entire interstate. That was the average that the car had calculated for the whole trip. If you're planning on traveling a trip that's that far, I would recommend that you don't go by the average speed of what Google Maps or Apple Maps says, because if it tells you it's going to take you 20 hours or 21 hours to get there, it might take you 30, because you're going to be driving a lot slower than you think at certain points. Your average speed isn't going to be in the 60s or closer to the 70s, where Google Maps and Apple Maps are going to assume that during that time when you're on the interstate, you're going 70 miles an hour, and that's just not the case. 34.3 miles to the gallon, and I have a 14-gallon tank in my 2016 Chevy Trax, so it would not be impossible for me to get 500 miles out of a single tank. That would not have been hard to do at all. But we ended up stopping like every 200, every 300 miles because I didn't want to be in the car that long. I wanted to enjoy the trip, not stay in the car and just get all the way down to our destination. Like, to me, that wasn't the goal. The goal was to have fun and kind of linger. I wish we would have lingered a lot more and been a lot slower on our trip, but I definitely wanted to be able to take it easy. And all in all, the whole trip, from the time I started my vehicle in the morning at like 5 a.m. to the time I finally got home and turned off my car, it took 63 hours and 44 minutes of the vehicle just being on. So the entire time the vehicle was on, it took 63 hours and 44 minutes. It was a very big learning experience. I've never been on a road trip that was like, one, I've never been on a road trip that was that long. And two, I've never been on a road trip where I'm like conducting the majority of the trip. Like that was almost a 3,000 mile road trip, and I felt responsible for anything that happened. So it was a decent amount of pressure, but it was fun. It was an amazing time, and I would definitely do it again. But as far as vlogging while I was doing it, it was interesting. Like, I was trying to, but at the same time I was just like, no, I'm here to have fun. So it makes me wonder, to what extent do I want to be able to vlog all the time and be able to do that? Like, how can I fully enjoy the trip and still get a good vlog going? That can be difficult, and I'd want to travel more so I can figure out how to do that, because I want to be able to travel and vlog and just make all these crazy videos where I show you guys places that you've never been before, and then you comment places I've never been before, and I make another video about going there, and I just want to see the world. I don't want to live and die by the same 50 miles. So we'll see how that all goes. Now that we're starting to hit the winter months, we'll definitely be slowing down, but I'm probably just going to save up all my money, and next summer we'll go on road trips all summer long. And we'll see what happens. No promises. I don't want to guarantee anything. I know that's always a problem. You say something in a video and then comes back to you in the future and it's just like, oh yeah, I did say I was going to do that. And then you don't end up doing it. So no promises, but that would be something I'm interested in doing. That's pretty much everything I wanted to mention in Vlog 21. I kind of like that I've been doing this more as like a journal entry, where I talk about the things that have happened, and I kind of show you some footage of things that have happened, rather than trying to take it like a daily vlog, where I'm showing you as I go, and it's more present tense, just because of the fact that it's hard to find the story while you're living it. You don't really know what the, setting conflict resolution of the story is going to be until you live it, and then you're like, yeah, I didn't even realize that was a problem. It just kind of went through. So it's fun for me to kind of go back and give you guys like this recap, and it's interesting for me to go back and watch these, so before I go on my next road trip, I'm probably going to watch this video and be like, oh yeah, let's not make those same mistakes. Definitely don't want to be caught in Virginia at night and trying to drive. That was pretty scary, going 70 miles an hour down a hill. That was insane. Yeah, I don't want to do that again. I'd rather do that during the day. It would be prettier too. Yeah, that concludes Vlog 21. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to check out these videos over here and subscribe right here if you haven't already.